They're going too far. I mean this. The commentary, the punditry, the breakdowns, the exaggerations regarding Liverpool are going too far. I know some Liverpool fans are worried. I know there's been rightful criticism of the play, of the performances in recent games. But what I'm hearing is an exaggeration, false equivalence, and absolute nonsense, fear-mongering, scaremongering, whichever expression you want to use, by the mainstream media. Do me a favour, please, and hit the like button, subscribe and share. Very important for the growth of the community. And I know so many of you enjoy the conversations that we have in the comment sections. And I appreciate and respect you all so much for helping us grow. But like, share, subscribe, but also please turn that bell notification button on so you know when we go live. I want to start off here with Jason Cundy. Let's take a little listen to what he's had to say.
There's been no real evidence that I've seen that Liverpool have the ability this season to do what they did last.
Straight away off the bat, straight away, I see a lot of content creators do this now. I've seen no indications. And I'll give you an example. Last year, Chelsea, especially in their European games, were very strong in the second half. Real Betis used to fade in games, especially in Europe. At half-time, Real Betis were beating Chelsea. And in some of my group chats, I said Chelsea will steamroll them, I think, in the second half as they grow. No indications that Chelsea would be better in the second half. No indications. And then they're very clever. No indications so far in this game that Chelsea are going to be the better team in the second half. You don't always need an indicator in a game to know what's going to happen. If a team has a propensity to fade, another team has a propensity to grow, and you can also see there is a sheer physical size and fitness difference between the two teams, you don't need an indicator in the first 45 minutes to tell you something may happen. Chelsea steamrolled the second half, smashed them, they won. And I feel very similar about this comment from Jason Cundy. You're seeing nothing so far they can win the league. That isn't true. We've seen an astounding mentality in a number of games where they may not have been the best team. Sometimes they've been the better team, like against Atletico Madrid. And by bad refereeing and a bit of luck, they're suddenly at 2-2 and they go up the other end and they get a goal done. We've seen brilliant resilience to see things through right into the end, to not collapse when they're the team. Even against Palace, they lost. Could have been 3 or 4-0 down. The brilliance of Alisson and their perseverance allowed them not to collapse in that game. They almost got back into it. Yes, they lost ultimately. But to say there's been nothing, I think, a gross exaggeration, in my personal opinion.
I've seen Liverpool this season. I've never once come away feeling that they have been good enough. Every game, they get late goals.
What about when they beat Arsenal 1-0?
A draw written all over it. It's a wonder goal. You can't keep relying on that.
People do this reductionist thing as well. They make a big statement so it doesn't sound like you're reducing something, but they are. Amazing goal, but you can't always rely on it. No Liverpool fan, no Liverpool player, Arne Slot, nobody believes they can keep relying on those elements of the game. No one's stating they can keep relying on those elements of the game. But why are we ignoring other parts? They stopped one of the best teams in the league from being able to attack them and create goal-scoring opportunities against them. They nullified them as well. I mean, that's another indicator. I understand they've conceded too many goals on the counter-attack. I understand that the tweaks to the system this season have made them not as good as last year. But the idea that a team that has been there before, won trophies before, won the Premier League before, has to show you something in the first 4 or 5 games that they're capable of doing it again, I think in itself, without context, is a ridiculous statement. But they are top of the league. Okay. And what are we going to do if they have a good game against Chelsea? What will we say if they have a good game against Chelsea and they are more dominant and make a few tweaks? All that shit I said last week is now null and void because I've had an indicator. The whole thing, for me, is a massive exaggeration. Now, I want to play another clip here. This is Wayne Rooney talking. Listen to what he says in this. And I love Rooney, but again, I think this is off the beat.
I think his decision to play a midfield player at right back and a right back at right wing, I think was... Like, for instance, if that was Amaron at Manchester United, he'd get absolutely slaughtered. I thought they were really poor. I think a worry for me would be they're losing the game, and it looked like even with still quite a bit of time left to go, he's just put every attacking player on the pitch and just said, like, go and figure it out. And then it could have got a lot worse for Liverpool during the game because...
It's really interesting what he says there, Rooney, because I've seen other managers, namely Mikel Arteta, heavily criticised for not throwing on more of his attacking players when trying to equalise or trying to win games. It's seen as cowardly. Go for broke. Take the handbrake off is the expression. Arne Slot does it, and what we're now hearing is a lot of attacking players on the pitch and could have conceded more. They could have conceded because they were overcommitting, and that could have looked really bad. So what are we saying we want the managers of top teams to do when they're losing? Go for it? Half go for it? Or be very conservative? I feel like we've got to pick a camp here, or at least explain why we see these things differently.
Because the amount of times do you give them the ball away at the back and losing it and getting broke on, and Alisson obviously getting injured. I think when you win the league, you like Arne Slot did you last season with Liverpool, then sometimes some of the decisions you make get overlooked, and I think...
Well, that's because no one makes perfect decisions in every game, in every season, in every moment, even when they win the league. There are still mistakes. But we now live in a world, and maybe I'm part of this because we make content every day, but I feel that we're just getting into this realm now of over-analysing everything. And if the team that wins the Premier League brings in an RAF pilot to do a talk about communication, and the team that gets relegated brings in an RAF pilot to talk about the exact same things, it will be the team that got relegated where people say, well, that was stupid, it didn't work, it was a waste of time. It might just be the players weren't good enough and the manager weren't good enough, and there's nothing slightly better communication can help with. But it could have been the difference for the team who won the league. It could have given them a marginal gain, an extra 1% they didn't have before, which was enough to get them over the line in a couple of games. That was an extra 4 points compared to a competitor, and they won the league. We overanalyze sometimes too much, or we look at the end result and then write off every element of management and outside influence and system. And you see it at Man United right now. You're seeing is it the system is in the three at the back, the 3-4-3, or is it the personnel in there? Is it slight adaptations are needed to the formation? Because we're seeing Palace play that exact same formation and it's working phenomenally well. Have a debate in the comments section. I'd love to know.
His decision to play a midfield player at right back and a right back at right wing, I think, was... Like, for instance, if that was Amaron at Manchester United, he'd get absolutely slaughtered.
I love you, Wazza. I love you. You gave me, I mean, we're the same age when I say that, but you gave me some of the greatest moments I've ever had as a Man United fan, and I love you for that. Amorim doesn't have the credit in the bank Slot does. Amorim's only winning around 35-36% of his games. Amorim hasn't won the Premier League. Credit in the bank counts. There is real credit in the bank here for a manager who has got it right more often than not. But on the facts, we can't ignore the facts. More than half of Frimpong's career, he's played right midfield. I think 135, 136 times. It's about 128 to 130 times he's played right back. He's then played right wing, like the actual wing attack, about 20 odd times. So not as far forward. But this idea that it was abnormal, strange, ridiculous, he got played in that position. He did that many, many times for Bayer Leverkusen. So as much as we are looking at it and going, I thought he's a right back shouldn't be there. By the way, I agree with the half of it. I wouldn't have played Szoboszlai at right back. Szoboszlai for me has got to be in the middle. I'd have played Conor Bradley. They've got to rotate and give Salah rest at his age. I don't think Frimpong as well, by the way, was in great positions. He didn't cross the ball early enough. But he's done fantastic in right midfield and right wing on many of occasion. Surely between the BBC, Wayne here, and obviously his producers, surely they should have done their research on that. We also saw this week, and I want to delve into this next clip here, and I'm sorry, it's playing before I wanted it to. Let me just put that back to the beginning. Jamie Carragher go in and talk about how he's really worried. How he's really worried about Liverpool, and he's told Slot this, and he's concerned, and he really went in. And I felt for a few days, I saw a really good clip on DR Sports stating that was kind of over the top. And I agree. Here's Simon Jordan. I want to give some balance here, some good punditry here, in my opinion. I want to listen to what Simon Jordan's got to say. Take a listen.
Look, I mean, I like Jamie, and I think a lot of the time what Jamie says is worth listening to. In this instance, he's making noise on a television show to create some sort of reaction in it. You're top of the Premier League. You may not be playing particularly well, but I think the key component of any side is if you can win the majority of the games that you play in whilst not playing very well, there ain't too much wrong with you. I look at it and think to myself, Well, what is there to worry about, really?
But they're struggling a bit.
Well, they've not hit...
Is Jamie not just saying what he sees?
He says that
they're
he's
struggling.
I tell you what he says. He says they don't look like a top team. I get that.
Yeah.
Because
They are top.
Well, they're top of the table.
Yeah.
But as I said the other week, sticking up for Arteta and the
And they beat Arsenal.
the silliness around.
And they beat Arsenal, who are most people's favourites, besides Liverpool, to win the league.
Yeah, they did beat Arsenal. But what I'm saying is, people jumped on Arteta when he didn't beat Man City at home or whatever it is. You know.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with this from my point of view and perspective. I get the criticism over certain areas and certain elements of the game that are not great at the moment, but I think people are doing too much. I think people are making at the moment. Now, they could end up being right, but I'm not going to give them any credit for it, and I'll tell you as to why. I will give credit to the man or woman that says, it's not very good right now. I'm really worried for Liverpool. The system isn't working. These couple of signings aren't good enough, and I don't think it's getting any better. I don't think Arne Slot's going to make the changes. Or if he does, it's going to be far too late. January, and we're already out the title race. This season's over. I'll give credit to that person if they say that now, and then it happens, and they can say, well, I will say you were right. What I won't do is this seed planting nonsense of, I'm really worried. They're not a top team right now. Liverpool got major, major problems. Just for 2 or 3 games down the line, 3 or 4 games down the line, they're playing much better. They're winning their games again. They're on a good run. They're looking far more polished. They've really settled in. The new players have integrated a lot better. And everybody kind of forgets those comments that were being made. And those same pundits just go on lauding them and praising them and ignoring the fact they said this. It's half an opinion for me. It's a very extreme amount of noise being made for half an opinion. It's absolutely, and I want to make sure you guys are with me on this, okay? I want to make sure you're with me. It isn't that you shouldn't criticise Liverpool. I've criticised them. I know most of you have criticised them. Slot, certain players, etc. But it's the exaggerated nature of the depths of their problems without any follow-up view of... A lot of people are saying it, and when they have been asked the question, so how long do you think it'll be until they settle? Oh, a couple of games. Then what's the panic all about? Simon Jordan's right. Why the panic? You know, if you run a business, we've got to hit £1 million of turnover this year. Otherwise, we can't afford to pay all our staff, pay all our bills. We're going to have to let people go. How are we doing? Halfway through the year? Well, we're currently at only 400,000 halfway through the year. Oh, are you worried? I'm a little worried because we're not where we need to be. But August, September, October, November, and December, we generally do twice as much business as the first half of the year because of seasonality. Then what are you worried about? Because if you normally double your business in the second half of the year, if you normally come good, why would you be panicking at half year? If your yearly target's $1 million, you do more in the second half of the year than the first half of the year, and you're at 40% of target. There's nothing to be stressed about. That's how I view this situation. Yes, they're not at their best right now. Yes, they haven't hit top gear. Do you think they will? Yes. Do you think Arne Slot's good enough and will make the changes? Yes. Do you think the players they've bought are flops? No. Then what is the big panic about? If you don't think Slot makes the changes, if you don't think they get better, if you think they've bought flops, if you don't think they're going to improve, then I understand the panic. So I'd love you to break that down for me. Explain it to me like I'm 5 years old, because I'm a little bit miffed at the hyperbole, the overreaction, and the anger I'm seeing. And maybe it's the media creating this, I don't know. You let me know, please, in the comment section below. Look, I want to thank you all for tuning in. As I always say, the support from you all is amazing. But hit the like button, subscribe, and share this content across your social media platforms. Take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you soon.